Hey guys, Daniel here. Good afternoon. It's Saturday, the 21st, I believe. Is it the 21st? Let me check. Oh, the 22nd, my mistake. Yeah, so today, like I mentioned a while back in my last video, that I was gonna do a second part to my CD collection, so I thought I do it while I still have time because I have plans to take care of today. I wanna get something done. I have a package to send out. I sold a CD on eBay. It's a R&B album of Kiki White, and I wanted to get rid of it for a while. And I found out yesterday it was paid for by someone on eBay. So, and it was paid for on the 15th, and it's the 22nd. So I want to make sure I send it out and make sure it's shipped so the person doesn't think I'm ripping them off by any means. I was kind of taken back because I forgot all about it because I wanted to check my PayPal for something and I saw that it had $7 and change. I'm like, where did this come from? Then I remembered, oh right, that's right, eBay, because I saw it mentioned that was been paid for by such and such through that website. So yeah, I'm happy. I got a little money in my PayPal, but still got more stuff to take care of, so I want to make sure I take care of that today and probably get a couple things from ShopRite because there's stuff on sale. So that's another thing I want to take care of. I want to get it done while it's still early. And so yeah, enough with my rambling. So let's get on with the video. So the first thing in this CD collection, and I want to try to get as fast as I can, but like last one will be 40 minutes, so hopefully I can shorten this. I don't know, we'll see what happens. So the first CD I want to show in the second half is, of course, a classic album, and of course you all know what this is, and it doesn't need no introduction. It's Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I don't have this on vinyl at the moment. I got this before I started collecting records years ago, and it's a good album. What can I say about it? It's a it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's an album that doesn't, like I said, doesn't really need much explanation. It has all the classics on here like Money, Time, and you know you. It's one of their most cornerstone albums, if that makes sense. But I haven't heard Animals yet. I know Sue Me, but I always heard about Animals, and I heard it's really good. And I would not put it past Pink Floyd because their work before Dark Side and is just as good and more psychedelic. But you know, you got all this great music on here, and I like the design of the disc. I will admit that I like the the layers and multicolors and all that. Like it's just simplicity sometimes just makes everything just so wonderful. And yeah, great album. Don't need to go into further detail, but next is Janet Jackson's Velvet Rope, and this came out in 1997. This was like you could say her depressed album because this was during the time she was going through a lot of depression and she was feeling a lot of feelings, you know, especially when you've been a child star like the rest of the Jacksons, of course. Of course, Michael, we don't have to go into further detail with him. Maybe some way we can get into that, but yeah, Velvet Rope is really an underrated piece of music, and yeah, there's a lot of good songs on here, and there's a song on here that I love that I remember hearing on the radio years ago called "Together Again," and that's a beautiful song. And I think it's a wonderful tribute to the people that she knew who had AIDS, and that's what the song. And the song for that proceeding, the proceedings to that song went to the charity for the AIDS Foundation. I think I don't remember it exactly, but it had something to do with that. And what else? Of course, "God Till It's Gone." That's another good one, and it samples Joni Mitchell's. Um, Big Yellow Taxi, I think it's called. Like, oh no, what you know, but you don't know what you got till it's gone. That's what it uses, and I think it's a really pretty good use of a sample. Now, people would snarl at the idea of, oh, you sampling music. That's like, when it's done right, it can be used effectively when it gives a new meaning to a song. But yeah, so it doesn't make it a bad thing. When it's like overly sampled to the point it just seems lazy, well, do I have to use Anaconda by Nicki Minaj as an example of how not to sample a song when it just feels blah? I don't even want to get into that. Ugh, don't like her music. And maybe like a couple songs, but I'm not exactly a fan of her stuff. I don't know. She just rubbed me the wrong way. But yeah, and that song got to you what you sorry, tongue tied. Got Till It's Gone. It also has guest appearance by Q-Tip. You might know him from Tribe Called Quest, an iconic rap group, best known for their flows and stuff. You could debate whether if they're the best of all time or just up there, or maybe not everybody's cup of tea. Because I know some people might question, like, really? I think they're a little overrated, but I can't really judge much because I haven't listened to a lot of their music, but I know some of their stuff to tell you that I get the appeal. Then again, anything from that time is a lot better than what's out now with the mumbles and I don't get a lot of today's rap, and I'm 28. I guess you could say I'm way out of touch for my age, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm happy to be a part of a time when music actually, I guess, had more meaning. Yeah, you had some silly crap back then too, like it is now, but at least back then, some stuff that was ridiculous had some charm to it. I mean, I'll take "We Built the City on Rock and Roll" over, I don't know, anything that's just miserable. This, I don't know. As long as it's not Cardi B or anything like that, I'm happy. But I don't want to ramble on a rant there. It's just I don't want to sound like that old guy yelling at a cloud meme. But yeah, Velvet Rope, yeah. And another album by Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, 1814. Now, Velvet Rope is a really good album. It's a very emotional one, but this one to me is a classic. To me, this is actually my favorite Janet album. I mean, yes, Control's really good, and she had Janet, her stuff from that period. But for some reason, this was like the first. To me, this is my favorite, not because it was the first time I heard Janet Jackson. And when I was a kid, when I first heard about her, I didn't even know the connection between her and Michael because I was a kid, and that was at the point when Michael Jackson's skin was very light. I didn't know he was black or anything. How was I supposed to know? I was a kid. I was very confused. I didn't know about vitiligo and all that, but that's another story. But anyway, yeah, this album is a lot of fun to listen to. Rhythm Nation's a fun song. State of the World, The Knowledge, which doesn't have to say too much lyrics, but it's enough to tell you what the song's about. And it's really good. And Miss You Much, Love You, Will Never Do It, which I love. And fun fact, they originally wanted to make Love Will Never Do It without you as a duet, but things didn't go out as planned. Heck, they even considered getting Prince, and, well, obviously it's a hard sell to get Prince to do anything with anyone, which I love the guy, but to be fair, he was more of a guy to himself. I don't know, it's hard to explain with a guy like him, but I love Prince besides that. But but the one song at the time I heard on this album that, especially to me, I don't know, maybe because I go through a lot of depression and some reason, it sounds silly, it might sound corny to some people, but the song Lonely for a while was like a song I kind of relate to. I always felt isolated, I always felt lonely, and you want some. I think it's a beautiful song. Yeah, it's a bit of its time, the production and everything, but yeah, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they were a great combo when it came to Janet. Heck, they even done stuff for Human League, which is the song Human. I know Human League, I believe, did not really like what they done with that album. Crash, I think it's called. I forgot what it's called, but yeah. But they're very established producers of their day. And I think they eventually collaborate with her years later on All For You, I think. Yeah. So, this is a good album. I love Rhythm Nation. My favorite Janet album. Now, next is an album these I had this one is, Kate Bush, Kick Inside. The Kick Inside, and this is obviously the US version because the UK version has a very different cover, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know it's like a kite and everything, and it's a very eccentric looking album cover, but it's a very unique concept. Now, this Kate Bush, I love Kate Bush. I got into her like a few years ago, like in 2013, 2012 maybe. And I only heard about her through name, through other artists, like as this, but when it comes to certain particular female artists. And this is the production on here is something to behold, but like you have kite, you have saxophones, strange for not moving. Wuthering Heights, of course, everyone knows what that is if you're familiar with Kate Bush. But when people think of Kate Bush, they think of they think of the one song, "Running Up That Hill," which is like been covered a lot, probably her most well known in the U.S. But anyone that's in the know knows who she is. You could say she paved the way for artists like Bjork, some to extent maybe Saint Vincent and Annie Clark. I'm trying to think who else. Bats for eyelashes. I think I forgot how you say it, but yeah, when you get you get the idea. Like she's just one of those particular artists that just influenced those kind of female artists, and she is one of a kind. And she's got her voice, especially when she was younger, it was very high pitched, and it might not be for everybody because they might find it a little. But I love it for that because it just makes. Oh, I can't really describe her music. It's just magical. That's the only way I could put her stuff is magical, and I love Kate Bush. She's definitely one of those kind of female artists I can get behind. Next is Disturbed, Indestructible. I remember when this album first dropped back in 2008. I was in high school, and I was excited for this album, and I couldn't wait because I remember that day I went out, got a couple of DVDs. You know, I was collecting DVDs back into movies, which I still am, obviously, of course. But and that day I remember buying it, and after watching Live Free or Die Hard, which I bought at the time, after I watched that, I threw on the CD and I was just rocking out. Like I had a blast. I think I heard this a bunch of times since I bought it at the time. Like, great album. I know people nowadays might just see it as a not. When people think of Disturbed, they think, oh, that guy that goes, ooh, wah, you know. They're more than that. They can be a real credible band. I know to some people they might sound samey. You could argue it's the same thing with AC/DC, and I heard a little bit of their last album, the most current one, but I heard it wasn't very well received, but I'll give it another listen all the way through. I mean, yeah, I can. Yeah, so. Really. Oh, yeah, and I remember my best favorite song on here, of course, is The Night, and it's really hard to decide what I like on here, but The Night is one of my favorite. Perfect Insanity is a song they did years before this album, like a demo. And if you look on YouTube, you can find their first music video. It's very low budget. Of course, they weren't really known or having it happen yet. It looks cheap, and it's just David Draymond in a straitjacket, and well, you gotta work what you had for the time, and I mean, it's cheesy as hell, but it's still a kick-ass song. But the original demo's really, well, disturbed. Well, the point is, I like Disturbed, I always did. Next is a compilation album. It's a playlist, the very best of Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. Now, this guy, he was one heck of a guitar player. You could say the music he made as Oddbox Top would say killer. It's a shame that he died before his time. He died too soon in a helicopter crash, I think. It's a tragedy, and guy was talented, and just so many good songs he did, and he even was good at doing covers, which he was good at doing. He did Superstitious by Stevie Wonder, which, by the way, is not on here, sadly. Though I would have loved to hear that version on here. But luckily for me, there's Voodoo Child Slight Return, which is from Couldn't Stand the Weather. And it's just so many good songs. The House is Rockin', A Long Way from Home, Tightrope, Crossfire, Texas Flood, Pride and Joy. Just a good little compilation album. I would like to get his main albums on vinyl one day, but for the time being, this is a nice little pickup to listen to, and I'm in the mood for some Stevie Ray and Double Trouble. Good blues, electric blues, rock. Next is Tool, Lateralus. I'm sorry if I can't say that right. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. It's just such an odd word to pronounce. Lateralus. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. But you know what I'm talking about. What more can I say about this band? They were influenced by bands like Rush and all that, and it shows, because like Rush, they're very technical with their stuff. They're both equally great bands, and this is definitely like the album that shapes them for who they are. I mean, we got that with Enema, and to the extent of Undertow. You can go all the way back to Opiate up to this point. You can see the evolution of their music. Like, that sound that they established off of the album before this continues on with this album, but lyrically it just gets more deeper with meaning. You could have any kind of point of view, and see how I put this in words with Tool. See, with them, some people might think they're a little pretentious, but to be fair, their music is art. Their music is pure art regardless. And I never been to a concert, sadly. Unfortunately, I never had an opportunity to do that, at least not at the moment, because it's hard. I never got to go see a concert because we never could afford it, and I'm still going through financial issues as it is, and I have a job, but you don't always make a lot, but I'm going to try to save up money because maybe I could eventually get to see them in concert if they ever come to New York, if it hasn't happened already, but who knows, I'll look it up. But yeah, my favorite song on here is actually a two-parter. It's Parable and Parabola. Like, I just love how it starts off slow and quiet, like, and just the way he sings, it just gives you chills. It's just something about the way they make this, like, it's just Disposition, another good one. And it can get very eerie too. It's Ticks and Leeches. Of course, everyone knows about Schism and all that, but yeah, their art of this music is amazing. Like, I'm sorry I'm going silent, but it's just really hard to think how to describe them. But with the work of Adam Jones, of course, Maynard James Keenan, who's the front man and pretty much helps bring the music together with his lyrics, and with the help of musicians like Danny Carey and Justin Chancellor. Really good album. Anyone who has not heard a Tool album yet or hasn't gave it a listen, I recommend to listen to their music from front to back. Even listen to their newest album. I highly recommend Tool if you like a good rock album. Now this one is a CD called from a group called the People Tree, featuring Mila Jovovich, the actress, of course, and model. Now, if you're wondering, I didn't know she made music. You guys are wondering. For those who probably know who she is, you might remember her as the actress from Fifth Element. She was Lilu, Multipass, Lilo Dados Multipass. But anyway, love that movie, by the way. And of course, you know her also as Alice from Resident Evil. But I got this during the time when I was really into her, like, and I found out she was making music, and I heard it. It's strange. It's very experimental, but I like it. You have to give her. It's one of those things you have to really get into to really appreciate. But it's like it's a very, like I said, it's very experimental. The album is called New Electronic Folk Music, the People Tree Sessions UK edition. So, and in fact, this wasn't meant to be an actual release, apparently. So, strange enough, it was never meant to be an actual release. I think she never wanted to be released, but it got out there. It's, I believe, this came out in 1998. I think it was recorded that year, but it says 2002, so it must have came out. Flew. Some were just like really weird sounding music, but I like it though. It's really good. Next is another compilation album, The Future Starts Here, the Essential Doors hits. Of course, the band that technically kind of, how I put this, well, mostly Jim Morrison when it comes to the way he sang and lyrical content. You can technically say that we're kind of like the founding fathers of goth music, almost technically. Not really, but you can debate on argument with that. What you think, but because if you listen to a lot of goth musicians, the way certain vocalists, they do have a very Jim Morrison esque voice. Some of them, so you can kind of hear where it originates from. And of course, I seen this in a video about goth culture, which is music, and like where does the exact point where it technically started. And it was in an article back in the 60s, like as described as gothic. So I guess you can say they are, but they're definitely psychedelic 60s. But lyrically and vocal wise, it's, you could say he was the first goth artist technically speaking. I guess so. So please don't be rude, because I can't really confirm as a definite. I'm just getting what I heard from a video I saw. So it's a possibility that's where it starts. But yeah, really good music, of course. All the hits like Break On Through, Light My Fire, Love Me Two Times. What else can I say? Just Jim Morrison, gone way before his time. Now this is Minutes to Midnight by Linkin Park, an album that came out back in 2007. This is when they were transitioning with their sound, and at this point nu metal and all that was pretty much dead by this point, and it was no longer that relevant and popular. So with times they changed, and when they first heard What Have I Done, what I've done, it took at first it took me a while to appreciate it, because I was used to hearing like those songs like from Meteora, which is my personal favorite out of all those albums. But that's just in a personal taste, but you can't argue that it's a great album. Hybrid Theory is really good. I love Hybrid Theory. That's of course, where I first heard Linkin Park. Meteora, I listened to the crap out of that album back when I was 14. Minutes to Midnight took me by surprise once I really listened to this, and this was produced by Rick Rubin and Mike Shinoda. Yeah, really great, very very decent album. I think it's really good, and when you listen to everything else, there's really some really good stuff. Valentine's Day is a beautiful song. Shadow of the Day is emotional. And speaking of emotional, I just want to take a moment to stop for a second and say, speaking of artists gone too far before the time, Chester Bennington, man, depression can be a really messed up thing to do to people. They're here today and they're gone tomorrow, and I'll never forget the day we lost him, and I don't know how to put it, and I go through a lot of depression. I know the feeling too well, but I don't know. Hey, I just don't, it's hard to talk about because I grew up listening to Linkin Park, and yeah, and unfortunately, the last album they did in his lifetime, and I don't know if they're ever gonna record anything else in the future or get anyone else. You can't really. It to me, I just feel like it just would be like a cop out if they keep doing this. I just hope they never consider and they just keep performing live once in a while as like for tribute. Otherwise, I just don't want to see them continue on. I mean, yeah, you can continue on the legacy, but personally, that going out the way they did, that album, it just heard a couple of songs and just I don't know. I just don't want to trash that last album because it just feels bittersweet because it feels like a bitter taste when knowing that would be the last time we hear him record anything. And I have like lost interest completely most of their later stuff, but it's just a shame. I grew up listening to this band like during these albums, and yeah, that's why I just want to say if you're depressed and you feel like this, please talk to someone. Please get help immediately. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, back on a positive note before I don't want to get depressed. Next thing is Chevelle Sci-Fi Crimes. Good album. They've been seen as a Tool ripoff, which, to be fair, isn't really fair at all. Which, to be honest, isn't fair. Because they don't sound nothing like Tool. Maybe, to some extent, you might hear a little bit of it for, like, Undertow era, but I don't really hear it. I know they had that one album, like, a few years ago that had a very Tool sounding with certain instruments, but I don't hear it, but Letter from a Thief, Sleep Apnea. I like Chevelle. The first CD I bought was This Type of Thinking Can Do a Sin, was the first album I bought. And yeah, so good album. Can't really say much. And another Chevelle album, Hats Off to the Bowl. Got some pretty, not heavy metal, but it has its heavier sounds, and Face to the Floor, good stuff, Clones, that's very good stuff, good album. Sorry if I'm just rushing this because I don't want to be here forever rambling on, but and next one, it's a little damaged, and I think I have another copy somewhere. Because I think this might be my brother's original copy at one point when he used to just. This is Korn, See on the Other Side. Yeah, I don't have like. Yeah, it's beat up and everything. It's not in good condition, but I know it plays just fine. It's a 2-disc special edition. Yeah, See on the Other Side by Korn. It's very different from their previous work. It's more, I guess, industrial sounding. It's more on the experimental side. This is when they went to Virgin Records for that period of time, and they were just trying out different things, which is not bad. And yeah, if I still had the clear plastic to cover it, it had this kid on here when they're putting the crown on him. It's a little weird, but I like it. It's just a shame, like this was like at first when I heard this, it took me a while to get used. It's something you can listen to like once in a blue when you want something different from Korn, but other than that, it's just it's not a bad album. It's a required taste if you're used to like the sounds that you're familiar with, like Issues and Follow the Leader. If that's what you're expecting, well, I hate to tell you that's not what you're gonna get from that era. And they did Untitled, but yeah, let's just say that wasn't really their strongest album. I think it went downhill from there for a while. But like all good things, it's gonna have its weak points. But yeah, they're by the way, their most current album, The Nothing, is good, very good album, very emotional. So yeah. Next is Fear Factory, Digimortal. This was from 2001, I think. Songs like Lynchpin, Back the You Know What Up, which I think has Be Real from Cypress Hill on there, I believe. And there's bonus tracks on here. Yeah, so I say this band is really awesome, great. My favorite album, by the way, is Soul of a New Machine. This is awesome too. This is like almost close to the new metal sound, but not completely 100%. It's still very metal and has some sort of an industrial sound, but not. It's really hard to say, but it's not really industrial. But they're influenced by it. And here's a booklet inside, which I forgot all about being there. Try to put that back somehow, but I'll do it later. And of course, let me see. You got the band members, and I think this was the last album before Dino left for a while. And yeah, I know he's not exactly well liked nowadays, and I don't really know much why the case, but I haven't really gotten into the details. But you can't take away the fact that the guy is a hell of a guitarist, and he actually played bass on the first album, Soul of a New Machine. He did play bass on that as well, because they didn't have an official bassist just yet. They probably had one, but and when you look at that album, it's like, okay, you see they had a member, but in reality they didn't have that guy until after they recorded it. But he wasn't there for long. But yeah, mostly it was old Dino and the rest of the crew. Next, of course, is the classic Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. Fun album to listen to. Another album by Rick Rubin he produced. And oh, this is gonna drive me nuts. Sticky tape, that's gonna drive me insane. OCD's kicking in. But yeah, so got all the classic, my favorite song on here, by the way, is Paul Revere. It's just catchy. It's just really catchy, and it's just a lot of fun to listen to. Girls, of course, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. You got a right to party. You got to fight for your right. You know. Rest in peace, MCA. Item Yak. Now this one I bought at Target, and I didn't plan on buying it until I saw who was guest appearance. Until I seen who was guest appearance on this album, and that's One Republic. Oh my my. Now, granted, I'm not the biggest fan of the music. I like some of the stuff, and I don't actually think they're bad. But what sold me on it, granted, is there's a really good song in there called Kids, which I like. Really nice little pop song. Pop rock. And yes, they're the ones who made the song Too Late to Apologize. Which, they're not a bad band. They're pretty decent. But what actually sold me, and I'm probably going to be guilty for saying this, I'm pretty sure we're all guilty for this sometimes. What sold me on this was that there's a track on here called AI, and it features Peter Gabriel. That alone was enough to interest me, because I love Peter Gabriel's music. I think he's a really, really good artist from the years in Genesis and his soul stuff. So I thought it was really cool to see that they had Peter Gabriel. Quite amazed by that. Now, the last one. See, I actually did it before 40 minutes. I mean, 30 something minutes. That's even less than what I usually had last time. But now, the last one is a posthumous album, and This was like after his death, and it's Michael Jackson's posthumous album, Michael, and it's mostly all of his unreleased stuff. And songs like Hold My Hand, Hollywood Tonight, Keep Your Head. I know you're thinking, why this? Why do you have this for some Michael Jackson fans? Some people like it regardless because they're fans and they just miss the guy, including me. Despite everything he's been through and all the crap he had to deal with people hounding him and mocking him because he was a little eccentric. And I really don't want to get too much into that because if it goes on forever about, oh, he was this, it was like, I don't care. I like him. I liked him, cared about him because of his music, and I felt very bad for him when I realized how much BS he had to go through his whole life. He didn't have a normal childhood. And I can go on all day with this. But, and I know people are probably thinking this album is just a bunch of unreleased for reasons, but it's okay. It's got some decent stuff on there. And I know when the controversy around this album was because of it was believed that one of these tracks, I forgot which one it was, that it was supposedly not really Michael, but some guy from Brooklyn. I don't remember. I don't know how. I doubt that's really true or something. I don't know how definitely true that is. Probably just one of those wacky, ridiculous stories and myths and rumors, but it's up for you to decide. I mean, yeah, he did sound a little different. Didn't sound exactly like him, but then again, I hear stories that the way he talked and everything, that wasn't actually his normal, natural voice. If that makes it sounds, it's really weird. You hear all kinds of crazy stories. I can't be the one to confirm how true some of this people's. To me, it's all he said, she said stuff. So we don't know what's truly true. To me, like, despite all of his personal doubt, personal beings, and it's some crazy stories you hear, it's all just shrouded in mystery. So, and by the way, I do love that album art, like a different eras of him, like the Bad Era, Thriller, and all that. Like, you get to see many versions on this album. I'll give him that. It's a beautiful album cover, so that's a reason to care. So, yeah, so that will be my video for today on my CD collection. But join me next time for part 3, and let's find out what we're going to see in our next video. I'm pretty sure I got more on that one shelf. Maybe I can do that first shelf for now. And then by the time I get to like maybe 4 or 5 parts, maybe, I'm guessing. Maybe I'm just maybe more than that, but yeah, so you guys have a really good weekend and take care of yourselves, and it's the weekend, so if you guys go out, just be safe and take care.